Alrighty, right. Oh. Whew. All right. We're about to get started. Let's give everybody a couple of seconds to get in here, get ready for today's lesson. This is going to be an interesting one. Whew. Looking at me. I'm looking at you, it's easy to see what's happening. All right. I see some people getting in there. Paul, would you mind dropping something into the Discord and let them know we're live? You're a hero. I love you. And let's go ahead and move that down so that we can get started. So, welcome everybody. Welcome to the very best part of your week. It is Live with Jack. Hi, I'm Jack. And today, I'm going to be talking with you about decoding her feelings, understanding a woman's actions and reactions to different situations throughout the life of a relationship. This means everything from, is she going to text you back when you first take that number? Is she going to want to have a second date with you? All of this stuff. And we're going to be going through her actions as well as my recommended course of actions for you in different situations too. So let's go ahead and jump into the lesson. But first, wait. If you want to truly enjoy today's lesson, if you would like to reach the tippy tip top, the height of humanity, the culmination of all of civilization, then all you have to do is grab your glass, your mug, or your flask, a chalice, a stein, or even a cask. Raise it high. Let's make a splash. It's time now for our libation bash. Toast the night and enjoy the mood. Together now, we drink some booze. On your mark, let's not wait. It's cheers with chaps, so don't be late. Oh. Cheers. Oh man. Last night we were drinking pretty hard, and so that one just hits. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into today's lesson. From the very beginning, whenever you first meet a girl, a lot of guys have trouble figuring out, like, what's she thinking? What's she feeling? And here's the thing, is that she's telling you. She's showing you. Now, it might not always be obvious to you what she's trying to communicate, but she is always communicating those different thoughts, feelings, and ideas to you. So let's look at the very first meeting. Whenever you first meet a girl, this could be in any situation. Maybe you're in some sort of a social situation. Maybe you're in a bar. Maybe you're on the street. Any place like that where you can meet somebody, you should be able to get a feeling, a sense of basically whether or not she's interested. And here's how you set it up so that you know very clearly from the get-go. When you meet her and you decide you want to try to pursue things with her, cool. Make that clear. Make it abundantly clear. So I've talked to you guys before about making that offer, making the offer clear for her, saying something like, hey, I know this place where we can go get this thing, or we can go do this thing, or we can see this thing, and I'd love to take you sometime. Let's set up a date. How about Thursday? Or how about whatever day? Don't do Thursdays, though, because that's when we have the live stream. And I know this is more important than the date. And then you set that up immediately right there, and you give her the chance to either say yes or no. And that's when you get her contact. A mistake that a lot of guys will make is they'll say, hey, you seem cool. I'd like to talk more. I'd like to do something sometime. Give me your number and we can chat. That's a dead end, man, because there's no reason for the number. So first of all, she might just not give it to you because that's weird, right? There's no reason for anything. You're just asking her to do things, to give you something without any excuse, or not excuse, any reason. But if you have a reason, if you set up the date, then from the first meeting, you'll be able to tell, yes, she's interested, or no, she's not interested. She said no. That's fine. You get her contact number and you've set up the date already. Now, all you're doing with texting, especially at the very beginning, is you're just trying to set up the logistics of the date. That's it. Nothing else matters at this point. So chit chat through text, bad idea. Trying to get to know each other through text, no need for that. You cannot increase attraction through text messaging, but you can lose attraction through text messaging. There are a lot of girls who, as soon as you start texting them, especially if you're really interested in her and you end up dropping like a wall of text or all this stuff about your feelings and what you're excited about and all that, they'll just shut down and ghost you entirely. Don't do that. Take the win while you're ahead. You've already set up the date. Now, just set up the time, place, who's going to be driving. Are you going to pick her up? Are y'all meeting somewhere? Are you meeting at the station? Are you taking public transit? Things like that. So your first texts, first of all, she should read them and reply. Okay, so if you get a girl's number, we had a guy in the community this last week who he got a girl's contact. Now, he used Snapchat. Not a big fan of that. Don't love that. But that's what he chose to use. And okay, cool. Then he sent her a message and she didn't answer. All right. So she's communicating to him that she's not interested. She just ghosted him straight up. So if she's not answering you, if even worse, she's reading them and then not replying at all, not giving any sort of indication that she's ready to move ahead with this, then she's not interested. She's ghosting you and she just wants to spare your feelings, or more accurately, she wants to spare her feelings because she doesn't want to have to say it when it's this obvious, right? So pay attention to the things that she's communicating to you. If she's reading your messages and not replying, she's not interested, especially early on. Now, you get out on the date because you followed Papa Jack's advice. You set up the date when you first met her, you got the number, and then you just talked about logistics, setting up the actual date, and now you've gone on the date. You've both had a great time. You had fun, or at least you think you both had a great time. And then as the date is winding down, as it's coming to a close, you're sat there thinking, well, are we going to do this again? Are we going to have a second date? Here's the thing. With this, what you're looking for is you're looking for excitement. You're looking for investment on her part. If she is actively talking about things to do together in the future, if she's actively talking about something fun for later or for another time, or if she's ever saying something like, oh, that would be cool, we should go check that out sometime, we should try this thing, then she wants to keep pursuing it. She wants to meet you again. But if she's not, if she seems a little bit distant, if she seems like she's pulling back some, especially if she says something like, okay, well, it's been fun. Anyway, take care. See you around. Something like that. Oh man, you're toast. You're not getting that second date because something has gone wrong on this first date. It might be something that you did wrong. It might just be a lack of chemistry, because let's be real, that happens. Not everybody's going to get along perfectly with everyone else. That's okay. But you do have to pay attention to the information she is communicating to you. Whenever she says something like, well, it's been fun. Anyway, take care, or have a good night, or see you around sometime, she's not interested. However, if she says, I can't wait to meet again, then yes, she wants to have a second date. If she says, yeah, listen, I'll text you about that thing that we talked about earlier. We can set that up. That sounds great. Maybe next weekend. I'm free next weekend and we can hang out then. Great. You're going to get the second date. Pay attention. You're looking for excitement, that she's talking about things that she's excited about and to do. And you're looking for investment, that she is adding to the situation. She is adding to the offer of another date. If she's just sitting back and passive in the whole thing, she's probably not interested. Now, what about if we hook up? If we hook up, then she definitely wants to see me again, right? Because you know what they say, you give it to them one time and they come back like addicts. Maybe, maybe not. However, what I am going to tell you is that most likely her decision about whether to keep seeing you, whether to come back, has very little to do with the actual actions that you engage in, right? With the actual hookup. Sometimes, maybe it's so good that she wants to come back for more. But that's usually just kind of a side benefit to most women. Most of them are more interested in the actual connection, in the things that you're building together. Now, if it's just a hookup buddy, then well, maybe she comes back around, maybe she doesn't, but neither of you is that invested in it, so it doesn't really matter. However, if you're actually going on dates and then hooking up, then it's the date that's keeping her coming back or sending her packing. It's not actually the hookup. So even though guys get all in their heads about this and they think like, oh, I need to make sure that I learn all these techniques and get up there, yeah, second floor front window and like all this stuff. Yes, that's nice. Okay, it's a bonus. It's good. Do those things, but that's not the main focus. And that's not what's going to keep her either coming back or send her away. So don't put too much emphasis on the fact that you hooked up, because it might just be a matter of circumstance. It might just be she's ovulating and she was horny as hell and you happen to be there. You got lucky this day. Good on you. But she's not that interested in actually meeting again. Again, pay attention for excitement and investment. Same thing as with the date. Now, once you actually start dating and your relationship is starting to grow and blossom like the beautiful flower that it is, things get a little bit trickier because there are a lot of different circumstances throughout the relationship that you're going to need to pay attention to so that you can understand what the hell's going on in her head. The first one is meeting her friends or her meeting your friends, because these are kind of similar in this situation. If she's excited to introduce you to her friends, that is a very good sign. If she's excited to meet your friends, that's also a good sign. Now, if she's really hesitant, she doesn't want to introduce you to her friends, or she's like, oh yeah, maybe later, maybe another time. I don't think that this is really a good time for it. Buddy, you're toast. There's some reason that she's hiding you from her friends. Maybe she thinks that you're busted, but you give it to her good, so she keeps coming back for it. Maybe she has another boyfriend that she doesn't want to know about you. Maybe she just thinks her friends are going to hate you because you're weird. Maybe any number of things, but she's not bringing you in, inviting you in excitedly. Remember, we're looking for excitement and we're looking for investment. So she's not excited about bringing you in and investing in you as a part of her life. If that's the case, then she is at least 1 foot out the door, if not already packing her bags and ready to go. So pay attention for things like that. Now, whenever she meets your friends, if she is congenial, if she is friendly, if she talks to them and she laughs along and she asks them a bit about themselves and she wants to be part of the conversation and part of the group, that's a great sign. That's a great sign. That means that she is, again, investing in them because they're a part of your life and that's important to her. So she's investing part of herself into that aspect of your life. That's great. If she comes to meet your friends and you had to basically drag her over to do it, and then she just sits there and sips her drink and, nice to meet you too. She's not all that interested. She's not investing in that part of your relationship. So again, I don't think that she's that serious about your relationship. Next up here is planning dates. If you're always the one who has to plan the dates, who has to come up with things, then again, she's not investing. She's not excited about pushing things forward and moving on. Now, the same is true for you. So if you aren't pulling your weight there, if you're making her plan everything, if you're making her come up with everything, then you're also not investing. And that's a huge red flag to her. So pay attention that you don't make a mistake. If you're really interested in her, you're into her, but you aren't showing it, you aren't making her feel that because you're not excited and you're not investing, then that's going to be a red flag to her. And that's also something that you should watch out for. The next thing on here is post-argument dynamics. Okay, we have to talk about this. Every relationship has conflict. There's always going to be some level of argument, of strife, of conflict in some way, shape, or form. When that happens, which it will, if you see her just shut down or she gets super angry and then she holds it against you forever, especially if it's something that's not really that big of a deal or it's fairly small, then that's a huge red flag because that means that she's trying to find or manufacture a reason, an excuse that will make her feel okay about being able to leave the relationship. This is something especially to watch out for as the relationship goes on longer and longer. This will usually start to pop up around the 3-month mark or so in any relationship, when the arguments or the disagreements start becoming a little bit more heated, a little bit more serious, and then pay attention to how she reacts to them. How quickly does she get over it and move past it? Is she willing to compromise, to work together with you? Because if so, great, because that's investment. That means that she is offering up part of her thing is some sort of concession to invest, to make sure that everything works well. Now, you have to be doing the same thing too. So if you're just walking around making demands all the time, and you're like, but I'm the man, so I'm going to tell her what's what. Like, okay, cool. So you're not investing anything. You're not adding any more to the offer, to the relationship. So again, big red flag for her. Pay attention to these things. Don't make these mistakes, because I have in the past, and I don't want you to. Next thing to pay attention to here, discussing exclusivity. So this one is different in different cultures, different parts of the world. I know that out here in Korea, basically once people start seeing each other, they start dating, there's almost an assumed exclusivity unless you state otherwise. So unless you say something like, yeah, we're just meeting, we're just having fun, this is not too serious, right? I don't have time for anything, any kind of serious relationship. This is not exclusive. Unless you outright say that, there is an assumed exclusivity once you start dating. Now, that's cultural, and that doesn't apply everywhere. So I know that in the West, in America, or in Europe, you're going to have the assumption that you are not exclusive unless you explicitly state that you are. So pay attention to, first of all, the culture and where she's from. That's an important part of it. But then also, if you bring it up first, or if she brings it up first, is going to show you that there's some level of investment from one of you. Now, it's not necessarily a red flag if she doesn't bring it up, but if you bring it up and she, yeah, I don't know about that, and she kind of starts making excuses and hemming and hawing, that's a big red flag. That means that she's definitely seeing other people right now. And guess what? You're not her top choice. If you were, she would be absolutely ready for it. She would pull you up in an instant and say, yes, yeah, let's be exclusive. Cool, I'm down with that. And then she would cut off her other boy toys. But if she's hemming and hawing, if she's umming on that a bit, then that means you are not in the top slot. So pay attention to this. Now, the same thing is true for you. If she brings up exclusivity and you start pulling back, even if you're not seeing other people, she's going to assume you are. If you say something like, oh, well, you know, I'm really busy these days and I don't really have time to invest in that kind of thing, big word, right? Important word here. She's going to assume the same thing I just told you, because if she was humming and hawing, she would know, oh, yeah, I'm seeing other people and you're not my top choice. So if you respond that same way, that's what she is going to see out of it. That's what she's going to hear. So communication is not always about the words that are said. It's about how the person receives them. And in this case, and honestly, in most of these cases, the way that you act is going to be filtered through how she would think or how she would act in certain situations. So pay attention to that. Next up, let's kind of speed this up because we have a really full player panel tonight and I don't want to be wasting their time. We even have our special guest tonight and I'm very excited to talk with her. Next up, deepening the relationship. If you're talking about planning for things in the future, things to do together, if you're planning future dates, if you're planning travel things, even if they're just conceptual and you're not actually planning them, that is still a great sign because that means that she's invested and excited about the future together with you. If she never talks about the future, if she never talks about plans, then that means that she's kind of pulling away or she's planning on something to end and she doesn't really see any reason to dedicate, to invest more mental resources to it. The next one is meeting family. This one, again, wildly different by culture. If you're in Korea or honestly most East Asian countries, you don't meet the family until you're basically ready to get married. until the relationship is so serious that you have to meet the family. Otherwise, you just don't meet them at all. So if you're meeting the family, then at least over here, then that's already massive investment on her part. And she's definitely looking to push things forward. In the West, it's a bit different though, because you can often meet the family for no real reason. Just like, hey, we're having a Super Bowl party on Sunday. How about you come over and hang out with us? Yeah, great. You can meet the family there. The family is going to judge you, and your family is going to judge her, and they are going to basically report back once you leave about what they thought about you. So be cool, be polite, right? But don't be an ass kisser, obviously. Be cool, show your personality, have some fun with it. And hey man, if they don't like you, they don't like you, but don't be an asshole about it. However, you should pay attention, very much so, if she meets your family and they start telling you something, they're like, listen, something's off. There's something here. There is a very good chance that she has something underlying or something different is going on there that you are not noticing. It's super easy to get pussy blindness where you don't notice things because you're hooking up with her, but other people notice it. So pay close attention. If your friends or family are telling you that there are red flags and there are warning signs, that's something to take into account for sure. Next up, shared activities and hobbies. So a lot of times in a lot of relationships, you don't already have shared activities and hobbies. But if she's making some sort of effort to find things for you to do together or try new things together, if she wants to try dance classes together, or if she wants to try music classes together, or if she wants to try rock climbing classes together or something like that, those kinds of activities and hobbies that you share, that's really powerful because that means that she is, again, excited and invested. She's absolutely in it to win it with you. Now, if she's not doing any of those things, not necessarily a red flag, but I'd pay attention, because if all you do when you meet up together is you just Netflix and chill, then she's not that invested in the actual relationship. So while that might be fun for a while, it does mean that your relationship probably isn't actually going anywhere. Now, the last one on here is moving in. Again, culturally different, but if anybody proposes moving in together, obviously, big step. That's a huge investment. That's next to marriage, probably the biggest investment one can make in a relationship. So if she's proposing that, then that means that she is invested and excited. But you also need to be aware that this is kind of a make or break moment where you need to figure out, is this actually a person that I can see myself with long term or not? Because if you can't see yourself together long term, don't move in. For the love of God, don't do it. And don't be like, oh, well, we'll save on bills. The economic argument might make sense in your head, the logical side of things. But listen, it's a terrible reason. It's a terrible reason to move in together with a significant other. If you want to save money, get a fucking roommate, right? Like, don't do that for economic reasons alone. Next, long-term relationship dynamics. Okay, cool. So, different personal challenges. Everybody deals with adversity differently. They deal with problems in their life differently. And this is one of the biggest areas where men and women have just completely different communication styles, and they miss each other all the time. Men, whenever they have a problem, they will say, this is the problem. I'm trying to find a solution. Do you know a solution? Yes, you do. Okay, great. Tell me the solution. Great. I will try that solution now. And they basically do it like robots, like automatons, right? When a woman comes to you and she's telling you about her problems, 99% of the time, she's not asking for a solution. If she is asking for a solution, she will actually say those words. She will say, what do you think I should do? Or something like that. This is important. Unless she asks you for that advice specifically, don't offer up advice. Don't offer up solutions, because she's just going to be like, no, you're missing the point. A lot of times they want to just vent. They just want to get it out of their system and talk about problems. Now, if she's coming to you and she's telling you about problems, and if they're personal problems or they're serious or they're anything that she wouldn't talk to a stranger about, then that's good. That means that she is invested and she views you as a trusted place to let off steam, to talk about some of these things. Make sure that she isn't using you as an emotional tampon, though. I notice a lot of guys, especially, they fuck up in the first part and then they end up friend zoning themselves. But then girls will absolutely just use you as an emotional tampon to just like dump all their shit out onto you. And then these nice guys will sit there and they'll be like, yeah, yeah, he's such an asshole. Oh, he's so bad. Yeah, he's terrible situation there. And they think that by doing that, they're going to get out of the friend zone. Doesn't work that way at all. So only deal with that stuff and only do those things if you're actually in a relationship. Then it's okay and probably a good thing because you better understand each other and it brings you closer together. Next up, online behavior. Okay, so this is a bit of a tricky one. This is going to come down to the individual person. But if you notice that she's on social media a lot, and if she's getting messages from dudes a lot and responding to them, that's a problem, right? That means that she's talking to other people. She's at least entertaining the idea of meeting other people. If she's some sort of like a public person, or something that she like runs a business online or something like that, that's not the same thing as her getting messages from dudes who are trying to slide into her DMs, right? If she is entertaining those guys who are trying to slide in, watch out. If she uses social media a lot, but doesn't ever post anything with or about you, that could be a red flag that she's hiding you from the world for some reason. Maybe she doesn't want people to know she has a boyfriend. Maybe she doesn't want people to know that it's you. Maybe she doesn't want her other boys to find out about you or whatever else. That could be a red flag. Not necessarily, but again, really depends on the person, right? Like, I don't really use social media that much. So to me, that's not a big red flag. But if somebody did use it a lot, and they were always posting about their life and always putting up like daily stories and all that stuff, but then they never include anything about you, potential red flag that you should watch out for. Also, make sure that your behavior is not sending negative signals when you didn't mean to. Next one, texting frequency. You should both be basically in alignment about this. If you are both high texters, heavy texters, cool, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're both very light texters and you don't text much, cool, that's fine. There's no problem with that. The problem is if one of you wants to text a lot and the other one doesn't. That can lead to some issues there. If you're trying to text her a lot and she's not responding to you at all, but she reads them, but she doesn't answer, or she takes 24, 36, 48 hours to answer, that is probably a red flag, a pretty big one too, because it means that she isn't excited to talk to you. She might be invested, but she's definitely not excited. If she's excited, she will make time for you, especially to answer a message, because it's not that hard and it doesn't take that long. So pay attention. And same thing for you. If you read her messages and then you just ignore them or don't answer them, understand what you are communicating to her, even if you don't mean to. Next thing, handling distance and space. If you spend time apart, if you live in different areas, something like that, there could be a lot of space and a lot of time between when you meet, and that can create some tension. It can also give her space to miss you, which is good. You don't want to be together all the time, especially not early on in a relationship. You want to have a little bit of space so that she has time to miss you, to want to see you, to get excited about seeing you. But how you handle this is going to be different for the two of you. Ideally, if there's distance, if there's space between the two of you, then you're making up for it through other things, through texting more, through phone calls, through video calls, FaceTime, things like that. If she is totally uninterested in talking to you, except when you meet together, again, possible red flag, same thing for you. Be aware of what you communicate if you just have no time for her while she has her clothes on, basically. The last thing here is personal growth and support. Does she support you in the things that you're doing in life, in your goals, in your projects, and all that stuff? And are you supporting her? Because this is, again, all about investment and excitement. You don't have to actually be excited about what they're doing, but you do need to be invested. You do need to care about it, right? Like, My wife isn't particularly excited about my business, or like if I sign on a new client or anything like that. If I'm running a new set of ads, she's not excited about it. She doesn't really give a shit, but she does support me, right? She helps me. And if I want to talk about something, or if I ask her opinion about something, she's there. She does support me. She's invested. She may not be excited about it, but she is invested. And you should at least have that minimum standard of you care about what they're doing and she cares about what you're doing. And you both support each other and help each other with that when necessary. Again, not necessarily a red flag if she isn't into the same things as you, but it also depends on what it is that you're doing. If you're like, I'm trying to break into diamond rank in League of Legends. And she's like, I just couldn't give a shit. Right? And they're like, okay, that's actually kind of understandable, right? Because it's not terribly important to your relationship. Might even, depending on how often you play, be damaging to the relationship. But if it's something more serious, if it's something work-related or genuine personal goals or self-improvement, development, stuff like that, she should always be supportive of that. And you should also be very supportive of her. These are some of the things to look out for to help you understand how she's feeling about your relationship at any given time from the very first meeting on into living together and having serious long-term relationships. So hopefully this will help you to better understand her thoughts, her feelings, and her reactions to all of these different things. Now, if you have enjoyed this lesson, if you found any of it interesting, informative, fun, entertaining at all, I would like for you to do me a huge personal favor and hit the thumbs up button below this video. Hit that like button because it helps the channel grow. It helps more people find our content. And if you know somebody who could benefit from some of this information, consider sharing it with them. Now, with all that said, we got through that quickly, didn't we? With all that said, it's time for a very, very special Q&A where we have a full panel today, including a special guest, author Vanille Rose, who is joining us today to hang out and talk about her thoughts about what I just said. Now, when she comes in, she's probably going to say something like, Jack, you're wrong about this and this and this, and she's going to correct the record for us. So I hope you're excited for it. Make sure to put your comments and your questions into the chat below so that we can field those and talk through them all. Let's go ahead and bring everybody in. Paul, would you do the honors? Okay. All right. Woo!
Hey.
What's up, little kid?
Hey.
Long time no see, pretty girl. How you been?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, just beautiful. Oh, exhausted, but good. So where are
You did well.
these days?
Vietnam. I'm in Da Nang.
Vietnam. That's right.
Yeah.
Down in Vietnam. And how's life in
Yes.
Vietnam treating you?
Really good. Yeah, it's super laid back here. Everyone's super kind. It's obviously cheaper, but you know, lots of pros.
Awesome. So Vanille and I
Yeah.
actually go back. When did we first meet? Like 3-4 years ago, something like that?
Oh, yeah. I think 4 years ago.
Yeah, about 4 years ago,
Wow.
maybe.
Yeah, time flies.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cheers, Vanille. Look at that. Vanille's even got the cheers for the
Ah. What, you drink beer, Vanille?
Came
Since
prepared.
when?
You know, I've changed a lot. I grew.
There you go. There you go. I remember I once bought her a beer and it was just completely untouched.
Welcome to adulthood, Vanille.
I just
Yeah.
used to hate
I'm
it.
glad you did
Yeah.
some growing up.
Finally.
So when Vanille and I
Oh.
first met, we actually met at a bar down in Hongdae, and I saw her there with one of her friends, and I saw them drinking these huge 1 liter Long Island iced teas, and I was like, all right, that's someone I want to party with. I'm here for it. Let's rock and roll.
Hell yeah.
Went over, made some introductions, and made friends. And now that has created a beautiful and long-lasting friendship.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I'm
Vanille,
honored.
first off, I'd like to ask you, what did you think about my analysis of relationships and female thoughts and actions. Did you feel that I was right about things or wrong, or was there something where I missed the picture or what?
You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. No, I'm
I
kidding.
told you she would.
Actually, I think it's pretty accurate. I think, yeah, the way that you approach someone, like with a girl, um, I suppose like it's important that you get to know them on a like you how do I say it? Like you get to know them as a person, have those kinds of discussions, not too heavy, but I think if someone approaches me and they seem pretty authentic or genuine, that's way more appealing to me than someone coming up and just acting suave. That seems really fake, and it's sort of a turnoff. I'm like, oh, you're not even being yourself.
Okay,
That's
interesting.
how
So
I
like
feel.
pickup lines absolutely miss you with that, huh?
I prefer if it's said ironically, like someone drops a really crappy pickup line and I can just laugh about it. I'm like, nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think
Yeah.
whenever I opened up the conversation with you, I just asked you what that drink was and how I could get one because I wanted one.
That's one way to do it.
I believe it. I'm sure it was something that's stupid.
Exactly. Yeah. I think if people, you can only really be yourself. So if you approach someone, if there's something that you feel would be a turn off to somebody, then I would suggest working on it prior, rather than pretending, because eventually the real you's going to show anyway. So,
For sure.
yeah.
That's a great point.
I agree with that completely. I'm all about authenticity and being genuine. Now, one of the things that I talk about often is creating a bit of a persona, and not like the game, but like of the version of yourself that you choose to show people, because it's an important distinction. It's something that you do naturally anyway. So to do it intentionally is to be better at it for sure. But the example that I always give is that you're going to talk differently to me than you're going to talk to your grandmother. So you are putting on a persona in both of those situations. It's just that whenever you're going out to try and meet people, to make friends, or to meet girls to try to get dates or something like that, you need to be aware of what it is that you're showing people. Do you think that might hinder any sort of authenticity or congruence?
I mean, when I say authenticity, everybody puts up a bit of a mask when they're in public, when they're meeting someone. We always do. But I think it's more that you're not trying to play a completely different persona, or trying to be too schmoozy or something. I just find that a little bit cringy, and it's sort of like, I'd rather that, I almost appreciate it if somebody comes up and they are a bit shy or awkward, but it's like, but you're trying. I appreciate that, even if you're not totally comfortable, that's okay. Everybody gets that way.
Rip your DMs. My community is all going to be like, wait, you're into Shy Guys.
Hold on. Wait a minute.
And make sure we plug your Instagram in right here for everyone to follow.
Yeah. Actually, if you want to tell them, like, no, she's saying that.
It's private anyway.
It's gonna make her account private.
Bookstore though. Yeah, you can buy my books. You can do that.
There you go.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Mind that.
Yeah. Speaking of which, actually, Vinyl released a new book, 3 months ago or so? Box?
Yeah, at the start of this year. Box, yeah.
Okay.
That's the one. Yeah. It's a
I
crime thriller.
recommend it. If you guys enjoy, fiction, if you enjoy some good writing, Vinyl's stories are interesting. She goes places with it, and she has a really powerful ability to create characters and bring you in and make you care about them. And the plots are unique. You have to read it to see.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Now we do
What's
have
the name of the book again? that you publish?
Box.
Box.
It's called Box. Yeah.
You should put it in your description below, Jack.
I will do that.
Yeah.
I have a link to her store. I'll put it after we finish. I'll put it into the video description below, and I'll put it into the Discord as well, so that you guys can check it out for yourself over there. Now we do have some community submitted questions, so how about we hop into those? And by the way, for those of you watching live, if you type your questions into the comments or into the Discord live stream channel, then we'll be able to see those and take the questions live as well. So let's jump in. Paul, do you have our first question?
Yeah, I do. So one of the questions the kids sent over was, what are some unique mannerisms Korean girls do to express, like explicitly express that they like guys compared to women from other places?
That's a good question. Vanille, what do you do to show a guy you like him?
It's
there
tricky.
you go. Nice. Wait, that's not it.
It's not shipping container.
That's funny.
Not that one.
While she's answering, I'll get the link.
To show a guy I like him. I mean, to be honest, I don't really have a problem at a certain point just saying it and just coming out and being honest and saying, I like you. I would like to spend more time with you. But I do try and drop hints, I think eye contact actually is one of the main ways. Like if I look at a person a certain way, I think I'm trying to convey, like, I'm really interested in you. Without applying any pressure, because maybe it's not mutual, but that's a big one for me.
Do you ever not make eye contact?
I mean, I get kind of shy sometimes, so yeah. But if I'm really into someone else, I will be like trying to connect to them that way, and I'll be very engaged in what they're saying. So, yeah.
How many
That's
times
one
have
way.
guys been completely oblivious to that? I can only imagine.
Yeah, definitely sometimes. So that's why I also don't have an issue. Like, if a guy's not getting the hint, I don't have a problem just saying, I'm interested in you.
Yeah, because us guys, we're notoriously stupid with picking up hints and knowing that a girl likes us, right? Because I think that's the difference between us men and women, is that women will always know when a guy likes her, even if the guy's trying to pretend he doesn't. And guys, we just don't know at all.
No, I feel like it's more like we try to find excuses to find a reason for them not to like us. If you think about it, most of the times, like we're not sure of her liking us some sort. We can't possibly believe that, I think, and we find excuses for that not to happen. If you know what I'm talking about, like we try to look for the negative side of things, like what the hell is it? Like, nah, it's not possible. Maybe I took that wrong or anything like that,
I get that.
That would be Antonio reacting to you, telling him that you like him.
Yeah.
I think what guys are very bad at is, especially when you're not used to it, like if you don't date a lot, you are not used to reading body language and picking up the signs. But as you go, you get a lot better with that in general, because you have to if you want to be in this world, right? As for the question itself, what Korean girls, in my experience at least, do a lot is that they go back to that. It's kind of funny because they almost go back into that corporate environment where they start like hiding their smile and like doing these quirky things that for us Westerners is just weird. But I tend to see a lot of that whenever I get the feeling that a Korean girl is interested.
Yeah. And touching as well, right? When generally speaking, Western women are going to be more comfortable with just general touching and like even just like buddy kind of stuff. So it might, it's not necessarily a sign that she's interested in you. But if a Korean girl is touching you, if she's making physical contact, if she's touching your arm, if she's something like that, then she's definitely interested and she's trying to show you in a much more direct way than eye contact.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, another thing sometimes is I'll maybe brush up against their arm a few times, like walk closer to them or something. Stuff like that.
Do you do the hair pull?
Oh, I'll be like fixing my hair.
Yeah. If she does the hair pull,
that's a classic. That one transcends culture.
Yeah, I think that one's kind of universal.
Yeah. When she touches the hair, you know you're in. No, I think I was thinking about what Korean women do, and I honestly was thinking like they don't do anything because like they're just so concerned about like not looking bad or not looking good that they just kind of like do the opposite of looking bad. So they'll just kind of like sit there and smile and laugh at your jokes and such, but they're so obsessed with the image, right, that sometimes you just don't do anything unless you make a move.
Yeah, and that's entirely possible. But honestly, like that's fine because you should be making the move as a guy. Like, don't wait around and don't say like. Sometimes I'll hear guys talking about things like, oh, you have to look for IOIs, indicators of interest, and stuff like that. And I'm like, listen, if she's interested, shoot your shot. If she's not interested, shoot your shot. Like you're gonna find out one way or another. Don't wait and then see like, okay, but she didn't do the hair pull 3 times. She only did it twice. So I'm not gonna ask her out yet, or like bullshit like that. Don't do that.
That's so stupid. That falls in there with she hasn't messaged back and I messaged last, so I'm not gonna message again. Like
Oh yeah,
that's so stupid. I hope you're watching, friend. Like I'm talking to you. Jesus, stupidest thing in the world.
Yeah, I have guys who ask me about things like that fairly regularly. They're like, "Oh, I messaged her and then she answered, or she didn't answer me yet. So it's been 2 days. Am I allowed to message her?" Or like, "No, I'm not. I'm definitely not going to message her. I'm not going to double text." Or like,
stupid.
Bro,
yeah.
Like not every message demands a response.
Or like you do the same in real life. If she doesn't respond or say something right away, it doesn't mean that the conversation is over or that you just shouldn't say anything else, right? The same thing applies generally to texting. So it's like, well, she hasn't responded, so I'm just gonna wait.
Yeah.
In my experience, you gotta be the one that keeps the conversation going, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
Similar
unless you ask her like a direct question and then she doesn't respond. Like if you said something, if you shoot a girl a message and you're like, "Hey, I think that we should go out on a date. Let's go out on Friday. Let's go do this thing at this place." And then she doesn't answer you. Then like, okay, cool. She is communicating something with that. That's intentional, right?
Yeah. That's also very different. Yeah, like if she leaves you on red.
Yeah.
Sorry, dude. You gotta let that one go. Unless you have a different opinion, Vanilla. What do you think?
Yeah, if I've read the message and I don't really like doing that because I think it's kind of rude, but if I read the message and don't respond, that is I definitely wouldn't be wanting to engage. But yeah, sometimes it's just like if I'm working, I don't touch my phone almost. I'm trying to stay focused, and that's not me ignoring someone. If someone messages me, it's just that I haven't had a chance to respond yet, genuinely. So yeah.
Have you ever been sleeping for 16 hours?
Huh?
If you know what I'm talking about, like the classic excuse and stuff, like about, "Oh, sorry, I've been sleeping like for the past 16 hours or anything like that."
I just woke up, or I just saw
this. Sometimes.
Yeah, but I'll be honest, like me too, like even though I am generally very good at responding to messages quite fast, and that is mostly because when I'm working, I have my phone right next to me. But the second my phone goes down into my pocket, looking at my phone is not a priority. And mine is always on silent. Because unless I'm waiting for something specific, I don't need to watch my phone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to just keep looking at stuff on your phone, especially like, you know, I'm really busy these days, and you know, I'll leave my brothers or girlfriend completely on red, and you know, it's not my intention. It's just I'm just too damn busy. Sorry, you know. So life does happen too.
Yeah, I do think that
or sometimes you just forget to reply to them. Like you see the message, but you get you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've left my, you know, I've left people on red when they say good morning or hey, what are you doing later? And it's not my intention. It's just I'm too damn busy and I forgot about it.
Yeah. Now, I do think that there is something about priorities in there of like, so just because somebody doesn't answer doesn't mean that you're not a priority. But if it's more than 24 hours, unless like, of course it's possible that they saw it and literally just forgot. But generally speaking, like if this is something that happens regularly, if they're not responding to you for 24 hours or more, you're just not a priority to them. And that is important to pay attention to and to know, right? It's okay. Everybody, we all have different priorities. There are people who are more important to me than others. I am much more likely to respond to my wife's message than I am to respond to Vanille's message. Not because I don't love her. I love you, Vanille. You're fantastic. But obviously in the priority list, right? Like you're below her. And
of course.
Right, of course. And so pay attention to that, because if somebody is regularly answering your messages quickly, that's a good sign. That means that you're a high priority to them. But if they're regularly just fucking dragging it out, or if you ask them like a question or something, you make some big comment and then they just respond with like a one-word answer, you're low priority.
Yeah, that's always crushing whenever you receive like an LOL or like an emoji and stuff. You're like, oh, yeah, this is dead in the water. Or I'll let this one go.
They just drop like a thumbs up reaction to your message.
Like, they just react. You're like, oh,
okay,
that's a goner. Oh well.
Yeah.
I tried.
That's
back
rough.
to my video games.
Back to Doom. That's okay, man. Doom's fun.
I have Doom and Jack.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Jack answers. Unless I'm out drinking. If I'm out drinking, I'm same as Paul. Like once my phone goes into my pocket, especially if I'm out with people, I never see my phone. I just don't see it. Even if I know like I'm waiting on somebody or somebody's going to message me and they're trying to find the place or whatever, you know, like
that's your job. That's important.
but like it's just not how my mind works, right? If I'm doing something with people in real life, phone is way lower priority. It just doesn't even pop into my mind. Let's see here. Coot says, my strategy is to assume she is interested. If she isn't, she will leave at some point. Yeah, and that's a perfectly reasonable strategy to take of just, I assume she's interested. Cool. So I'm going to shoot my shot. She has the choice to say yes or no, right? Like we aren't like caveman fucking clubbing her and dragging her back to the cave. But shoot your shot, assume she's interested, and then if she's not, she'll let you know. Or like Coot said, at some point, she'll leave if she's not interested. Like, yeah, pretty much.
Though I would say on that point, this is just maybe it's my own perspective, but I have always had male and female friends, so I don't really see a difference in gender. I think that if I'm interested in somebody just as a person, I'll stick around, like, but it's like I don't necessarily want that kind of thing with you, but I would be happy to be your friend or something. Not in a patronizing, like, oh, you know, putting you in the friend zone kind of way, but in a genuine, like, I still appreciate you as a person. Like, I don't know, but that's my perspective. Gender's not a huge factor for me. So.
But it is the friend zone, though. Like, I'm sure.
Yeah, but to me, that's a very valuable place to be because my friends are like, these are people I love and, care about.
That
Definitely.
depends. Like, yes, I agree with you if y'all are actually friends. But most of the time, friend zone is actually just like there's somebody who is interested in me. I'm not interested in them. I'm okay with us being like platonic friends, but we aren't that close, right? It's just like I'm always going to keep you at arm's length away, right? And always kind of like, well, stop. And I'm sure you've had to deal with that before, of guys who were interested in you and trying to pursue you, but you weren't interested at all. And even though you're being cordial or polite with them, it's not actually being friends, right? That's what the friend zone is. It's that like that polite fake. I'm not going to be mean to you, but also I'm not inviting you any closer. And that's where a lot of guys mistake things.
I think for me, there's at least a difference like between, wanting to distance myself from someone because I think they're going to keep pursuing something, or genuinely wanting to become friends with them. It's like I can't pretend I'm attracted to you if I'm not, but I might still think you're a really cool person.
Yeah, but the thing is, the signals you will be sending will be different than if you're actually interested. That's the kind of difference, right?
That's why I do try to be clear with people if that's the case. Yeah.
Now, I'm curious, has anyone ever made it out of the friend zone and into something more if you weren't initially attracted to them?
Yes. Yeah, it has happened.
I
think in large part because I like getting to know people better, and I feel more comfortable doing
friends on guys.
or like, I feel more comfortable pursuing something like that with someone who I know fairly well. So if we've started out as friends and we just really hit it off, and then it ultimately leads into something like that, I don't, that's fine. It happens.
Right. But so the reason I'm asking is because my view on things is basically from the time that you first meet, you are either attracted to them or not. And it doesn't mean that you're necessarily trying to pursue something right away. Like you might want to get to know each other a little bit more, talk a little bit more, see a bit more about their personality or whatever. But I fundamentally believe that if a girl is not at least attracted to you from the beginning, there's no way to ever turn that around, right? She might not necessarily want to pursue something right now, but there has to be a base level of like, yeah, I would.
I get that too. I think just personality is such a huge thing for me. And it can work vice versa as well, where someone can be so attractive from a surface level to me, and I'm like, wow, so attracted to this person. And then I learn more about them as a person. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. I learn more about them as a person the more time we spend together, and they lose their attraction for me because I'm just like, I don't actually like the person you are. So I don't know. That's just my perspective.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That is
I feel like you're more like the extroverted person. So do you like I don't know, more outgoing guys with more outgoing personalities, or?
Actually, I like both. Like I was saying earlier, I find it endearing sometimes if someone's a bit shy or awkward because it's just human. But also, extroverted personalities, I do find I blend quite well with them, but it's just an individual basis. It's lots of factors, actually. Yeah.
Right on. Paul, would you mind clicking Sabi's question? Sabi asks, I think I need to ask, a girl from a language exchange app messaged me after 7 months wanting to see me. We only had a coffee chat for 1 hour and even didn't message her after because she had a boyfriend. She agreed to pasta and wine dinner tomorrow. What could this be about?
Mm.
What do
She's
you think?
either a major red flag or maybe it's something else.
What do I think? Let me read it again.
Can you see
Go ahead.
Can you see it in the chat box on the side? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she had a boyfriend. She doesn't have one anymore.
I think she. Well, I don't know. That's not clear. Sabi, if you could clear that up, do you know if she still has a boyfriend? I'm also curious about this because the timeline could make a big difference here. Like, did she now, after 7 months, she's messaged you, and then now you have met one-on-one for coffee, and she said she had a boyfriend, and she wants to go to dinner with you. Like, that's all within the span of this last week. Or is that like 7 months ago, you guys had coffee together and chatted, and she had a boyfriend then, but now she's okay. Yeah, you don't know if she does or doesn't, and you didn't ask, right? I mean, it sounds like a date to me, man.
Yeah, you don't take friends out to pasta and wine. No, not language exchange. That's you know where this is going. So we don't play innocent with me.
yeah. Don't just take the W, man. That's a fucking win. Like, this is clearly a date.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a date.
And I don't know if she still has a boyfriend, but if she does, she won't for long. Like, she's clearly pushing this, right?
I mean, I would clarify that before anything else. If you're gonna meet up for something like that, I would clarify if you're not sure.
Yeah,
that could put
I
you
think
in
when
a tricky position.
You gotta clarify, clear the air here. Be like, hey, like, is this a date? Do you have a boyfriend? Because you also you don't want to be in the middle of something weird here, unless that's your thing.
Yeah.
Some guys get off on that, right?
That.
Yeah,
we're not here to kink shame, right?
Yeah.
Yes, so I agree with that generally, but what I would do with that is, instead of asking a direct question of like, so like, what's the deal? Do you still have a boyfriend or whatever? Because like, first of all, it's a bit of a forward question, and it essentially is saying like, are you here to bang or what? Right? Like, instead, what I would do is I would simply call it a date and call it that directly. Be like, hey, I'm excited for our date on Friday, right? Are you ready for our date tonight, right? If you shoot her a message tomorrow about midday, are you excited for our date tonight? If you specifically call it a date and she responds back positively, she agrees, or she says like, yeah, I'm really excited, or yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, or whatever else, then that is implicitly saying she understands and accepts that this is a date. And so by assumption, you can go on the idea that she doesn't have a boyfriend, or if she does, it's on the outs anyway. Don't get into a relationship with somebody if she goes on a date with you while she still has a boyfriend. I mean, I'm not going to tell you what to do and what not to do. Like, you can bang her, but I wouldn't get into anything serious with her.
Yeah, she'll do exactly the same to you afterwards.
Yeah.
How you get them is how you lose them.
I heard that whopper from her before. She told me, oh yeah, I'm going to leave my boyfriend the next day. And then she did it. So I was all hurt and I felt used. It wasn't cool. So yeah, shit happens.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
if that doesn't bother you, yeah, what's up? Go ahead.
You probably aren't the first or the last guy who she said that to, right? Like,
yeah, red flags. Yeah, of course. Yeah, weird times.
Yeah. Let's see here. Remember, Coot says, remember, it's not just because there's a goalie doesn't mean you can't score. I mean, shoot your shot, I guess, but also, like, You can score. I wouldn't keep playing that game though.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's a shitty game. I don't know.
You don't want to go down that road.
Yeah.
It's like what, Dark Souls? Like so hard and punishing. Right? Why?
It's a path full of blood and tears. You don't want to be in any of that.
Yeah.
No.
It's an accomplishment, not an enjoyment.
Especially though, like for young people, you know, like when you're in your early 20s and you're just like, I don't know, you're walking around, you're just horny all the time, and like people do dumb shit, but also don't get into a serious relationship with someone who's acting that way, right?
Yeah, of course.
Accept it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think we have another question as well, Paul.
Yeah.
You wanna bring that one out?
Let's see. The other one the kid sent over was after you sleep together, either on the first or second date, what would be some some signs that a girl is either a good girl or potentially a slut?
Oh, okay, interesting.
Hmm.
So, like, does hooking up on the first or second date?
How can you tell she's?
Yeah, how can you tell? Is this just like somebody who's really interested in me, and she's in it to win it, or is she just like out looking for dick? Right. I think that.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead. Go. All right.
The context around all of it is going to be the most important thing. Like the actual hookup itself, the sex itself, like that's not necessarily an indicator that she is a good girl or that she's a hoe. And like there can be hoes who try to like push it off, and they're like, yeah, you know, I make a guy wait 5 dates before we hook up, but like she's actually just milking it for more dinner or whatever. Like that's not necessarily an indicator of whether she's a good girl or not. I think that the context around it, if she's just like coming over straight to your place for Netflix and chill, bro, she's a hoe. She's for the streets. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it, but also she's not into anything serious there. But if it's like, yeah, you know, we had this big date and we had all these cool experiences and we went to these places and we, you know, did this thing and saw this band and did all this stuff. And then at the end of it, y'all go back to your place for a nightcap and you end up hooking up. Like that's just natural and normal. Again, that doesn't necessarily mean that she is a hoe or she isn't. But I'm trying to think of any way that you can clearly tell one way or the other. And it's a little bit tricky. What do you think, Julius?
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said. It doesn't necessarily mean that because you take her home that it's, you know, she's a hoe. I think that the thing here that, well, from my experience, when I could tell, like, you know, say I had like a nice date and then we went back to mine and such, my experience is that, like, if she's not interested in meeting up again, right, like ASAP, right? So, like, remember, it's like the beginning of potentially something big. And as you know, the beginning of any relationship, it's like nonstop meeting, going out, you know, fucking.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting. And then, but like, it just stops, right? Then she's a hoe, right? Yeah. Because she doesn't want to meet you again. Go ahead, Vanilla, if you may.
Okay. So,
I could be wrong. Go ahead.
So you refer to a woman who wants to just sleep around is like you refer to as a slut or a hoe. But what about if it's a man? Because there's plenty of men that just want to do that as well. They just want to bang a woman.
Playboy.
Are they man sluts, man hoes?
Yeah,
we're going to use that terminology.
I don't really encourage that behavior. I think it's better for guys to be more grounded in a relationship, in marriage. I've never really encouraged people to do stupid things like cheat on their girlfriends or anything like that. I always just tell guys like, hey, just do this, and that. I don't want you to do anything that you may regret later.
Yeah, I think if you had watched all 117 episodes of this live stream, you would have noticed that what we do is the focus is on the relationship, not on the pickup.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. We think long term here. We don't.
Yeah.
We're not just here to rack up numbers. It's just,
Mhm.
you know, I think it's not very constructive, and I'm sure Jack believes
It's
that.
just,
I mean, he's
yeah. You know, there's no issue if people want to do that. I think as long as people are being safe and, you know, honest with their partners and, you know, everything.
Yeah.
Of course,
So,
and I think everybody has a phase in their life where they are exploring themselves sexually. So both men and women go through that. But
of
I
course.
think that, you know, women get a bit of a tough time about that sometimes. It can be a little bit hypocritical, where women are deemed as such, but then men are
Mhm.
doing the exact same thing, and it's like, well, then we are all sluts and we're all hoes if we're doing that, you know. You know what I mean?
Of course,
Yeah.
of course. I think what, and I do have to clarify this to defend your gender. This girl,
Jack,
she
were you
was
a man as well?
wait. Hold on. Hell yeah. Sorry, Vanilla.
White
I
knight.
assume. So the difference here with this girl, she made it very, very clear that she was not going to meet me. She was very honest about it, and I respected that. I was like, oh, okay, well, at least she's not wasting my time or stringing me along or hurting me. It's like, hey, what are you doing this weekend? She's like, oh, I'm meeting another guy. I'm like, well, how about me? And she goes, well, he's 6'4". I was like, oh, this sucks. What can I do? It was mean. It was. I think you know her, Vanille. But I'm not giving any details. But I was like,
boy.
what? I'm only 6 feet. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's 183 to you Europeans. She was honest, but that was very clear because then she started posting pictures of her with this guy, and then it was like another guy and another guy and another guy. And as you said, you know, that's her business, not my problem. But you know, she clearly wasn't interested in just the one thing too, right? So
I think the clearest indication that I have ever had that a girl was just a straight up hoe was, and this is a direct quote, while we were back in my apartment hooking up, she said, hey, why don't you just stick it in my butt like everyone else does? And I was like, that's the clearest possible signal. She's for the streets, man. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not passing judgment, but it's clear that this girl, she's not for long-term relationships, right? Now, I do want to clarify something because there's no reason for you to know this, but one of the types, I teach guys about the 14 types of women, essentially personality archetypes that help you to better understand like the psychological makeup of different types of women. And one of the types is the slut. This is not about the act of having sex. This is not about girls who have sex with lots of people. It's about the focus on that. So if they are going out specifically for the purpose of, I just want to get some dick, and that's the only focus. That's the goal, right? It's not a byproduct. It's not a thing that happens. Like we have a relationship, we build something together, we have some great experiences, and then we continue having great experiences together. That's totally separate from somebody who's going out saying like, I'm going to ride a disco stick tonight. Doesn't even fucking matter who. Let's see what I find, right? Like that's more the delineation there of the focus is on the sex. The same with like the alcoholic, where like the focus is on the drinking entirely. I'm going out to get blackout drunk. Now, a lot of people will drink. Like I'm drinking, right? We can drink together, but the focus here is on the live stream, on the discussion. It's not on let's have an excuse that we can all just get fucking shit hammered right now. So again, it is about the focus on that creates that personality type.
I think I have, at least from my experience, and some of these girls I know and like know very well over time because we turned out to be good friends afterwards. But the girls that either on the first date or the first time you meet them are very, call them sexually aggressive. Definitely either has been around or is going to go around, at least in the terms of my experience with these types of girls, and some of them, like one of you know her, you know Anna.
Let's not use names on the stream while we're live.
Yeah, that's why I use. Yeah. Anyway, that turned into a very good friendship, where like we generally can teach each other about what the other person thinks in the situation rather than just what it is, right? But in situations like that, the aggression level on the first time was very high compared to other first dates, I would say.
Right.
Dang, it's deep.
I think that's like that is definitely a good point, and that also kind of lines up with what Coot said down here. And he said you can tell a little by how much confidence she has in bed too. Yeah, so like if a girl clearly has a lot of experience, right? Like again, that's not necessarily a negative, but it does indicate past behavior, and past behavior indicates likely future behavior. So again, it's obviously not ironclad, right? But things like that. There are signals that like, okay, cool. You, like Sam Smith said, I know I'm not the only one, buddy, right? So there are a lot of things to pay attention to there. But I am curious. Like, trying to decide whether or not to pursue a relationship with a girl based on her bedroom performance is by itself a terrible idea, right? that's a recipe for disaster. Even if you're like, listen, I only want a girl who's super timid in the bedroom. It's like that doesn't like, but that tells you nothing about how you are actually.
What if she's just always timid? Yeah, or what if she's like a natural? You're like, oh my god, she's too good. I'm gonna break up with like, wait, what? Why?
Right.
Yeah.
That's so stupid. But I did want to ask Vanille this question. What are signs of man sluts?
Man
How can you
sluts.
tell a fuckboy?
Yeah, exactly.
I think just pressure to go home with them, or like, oh, do you want to go? We'll just go to a hotel and watch a movie. It's like that's all we'll do.
Oh my
It's
god.
like, yeah,
dude, sure.
Spend
$300 so we could hang out.
watch me watch that movie, and then I'll leave after the movie, like you said.
Yeah, put on like what a 4-hour epic like Ben-Hur.
I'm like, oh, okay, let's watch all of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
let's watch the entire trilogy.
Ones.
Best first date ever. Let's watch the whole trilogy, extended edition, especially Two Towers.
Yeah, that
Chef's Kiss.
Oh, yeah. Jeez.
Best one. Best one.
I think Return of the King is the best one.
They're all amazing. You know.
I think so too.
Perfect trilogy.
I really liked Return of the King until it ended 16 times. And you're like, every time you're like, all right, cool, it's the ending. Here come the credits. And like, nope, not even. dragging and dragging and dragging.
Oh, no, it did not drag.
I love it.
It just gets better. Yeah.
I didn't want it to end.
It's too good. He saw the guy could put that one being too good.
More. Yeah.
Oh, man. I never even watched the Hobbit movies either. I'm not sure if they were any good or not.
They're not horrible.
They're okay.
They're better than Rings of Power.
Mm.
Yeah, Rings of Power.
Season 2.
Are they better than Gollum the video game?
Still gonna watch it.
Oh my god. Peak. The best of all.
You know they cut endings 17, 18, 19, and 20 that were in the book, and the Hobbit movies are bad. Okay, well, Coot has spoken. The decision is made. The Hobbit movies officially are bad, according to our resident French Canadian.
Kind of bad, yeah.
So, and by the way, guys, if y'all have other questions, type them into the chat, and we can tackle them. Do we have any other questions? Or Antonio, if you have any questions, now's a good time.
No. First of all, I have a couple of questions, but they're a bit private. How long has it been like your longest relationship? Like, and what were like the traits in that man that you thought, okay, these are actually the traits that I want for a man in my life, right? I don't know if you're actually in a long relationship right now, but what was that was attractive to you, right? That made you stay with that man for so long.
That was a really smooth way of asking her if she's single. I approve.
I didn't really like that, but yeah, it was good.
Smooth.
No, I'm single right now. But I think that, to be honest, it always just comes down to the feeling I have about an individual. Because there's lots of different factors. I might find certain physical factors really attractive, certain things about their personality, but it's through spending more and more time with someone, getting to know them, both their good and bad sides, that I can feel like if I really like that person or not. Um, and I don't, I cherish the past relationships I've had, but I haven't yet met the person that like really clicked for me. So that's sort of where I am right now.
So you feel like you don't know yet. That's the thing. Like you have many like positive attributes that you will like in a man, but you don't know exactly. That's the thing.
Yeah, I don't know
I think
precisely if they're gonna be the right person.
I think the better question would be what is absolute no traits?
No traits. Uh,
Complete red flags, because that's probably much more interesting.
I
I
agree with
mean,
that, and I want to add on to that question here, especially as we date and as we get older, we learn new things to look out for. Like I was here for. I'm not going to spill any tea, but I was here for some of your relationships in Korea,
mhm,
and there are things that you have from those relationships learned to like. Okay, if I see this trait or this kind of behavior,
mhm,
it's going to set off an alarm in my head. And so, like, what are some of
yeah.
those red flags for you?
I think a big one is lack of trust, where if I'm in a relationship with someone, I'm in a relationship with you for a reason. You're the person I want to be with. If you start becoming possessive or controlling or paranoid, that's just like a
Yeah.
huge, like, why are you with me then? If you don't believe me, if you don't trust me, why stay with me? You know? So I think that's a big thing. And yeah, nobody's perfect. Everybody has flaws, and part of a relationship is finding out about those flaws and can you move forward from it? Is there a way that you can compromise and make things work? But yeah, I would say that's the main thing for me. Trust is super important. And yeah, that's what I think.
Right on. Now, a little bit of a follow up. What are some of the smaller things? Like, what gives you the ick? What's something that, like, if a guy does this thing, then you're just like, oh, fuck.
He's a 10, but he does this.
Yeah. He's a 10, but
Bad
He's a 10, but
manners.
he's short.
I don't
Oh,
mind
geez.
height. Height's not a problem. You can't control that. But bad manners you can control. I think there's no excuse for being, the way that someone treats service workers, or if we're having a meal together, do you chew with your mouth open? That's kind of an irritation
Yeah.
for me. Stuff like that. Maybe it's something we could figure out. I wouldn't necessarily drop someone for that reason, but if they weren't willing to work on it, then it'd be like, I can't. Sorry. Can't
on
stick it.
exactly that note, my wife's family, I fucking love them. They're amazing. The nicest people in the world. So sweet. They take great care of me, but they chew with their mouths open. Every one of them. And it just like, it
Yeah.
kills me whenever I go over. Usually I can just kind of like zen out and be okay. But sometimes, especially if they're eating like crab, like the Korean crab where they put the whole thing in their mouth and they just conk, 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 like crushing the
Yeah.
shell, pulling the meat out, and I'm just Oh, it's brutal.
Yeah,
Sounds
that's
like
a
hell
no-go.
on earth.
People visit them if they're having crab.
Yeah, fair. No, I can do that. It's fine for like if it's someone that you're just like it's someone's family, then of course you're meeting them
Yeah,
on
I
certain
have to deal with
occasions,
it,
and it's
right?
like I can endure. But if it's someone I'm in a relationship with, I'm gonna be spending a lot of time with. That's a big thing for me. Yeah.
Curious, how do you feel about paying on the first date?
I'm happy to split it, like half. Yeah.
Are you though?
Yeah.
So I feel like if I go out on a first date, I mean, like obviously I'm not right now, but if I do, or if I did, and a girl suggested splitting the bill, what that communicates to me is I haven't had a great time and I don't want to continue this, so let's just each pay what we owe and go our separate ways. Like that,
I
that
mean,
would be how I would feel.
I do think that if somebody, if they were the person who invited me,
Mhm.
and vice versa, if I was the one who invited them, it is I think it is a nice gesture to pay for the meal fully in that case.
Yeah.
And then from then on, or it's like I'll get it next time or whatever, there's some balance there. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't mind splitting the bill. It doesn't really bother me.
I'm with you on that. My advice to guys generally is to say, like, whatever it is you're doing first, pay for it, but then tell her, okay, cool, like I'm gonna cover dinner, and then how about you get the drinks afterwards, right? Like
Mm,
that way it
yeah,
does kind of create a little bit of a we're both doing this, but it
yeah,
doesn't feel nickel and dimey.
exactly. And also, I've seen, certain examples online where men have purchased the meal and everything, and then are basically expecting a sexual favor in response.
Mm.
And that's putting pressure on the woman. I think if you do have that balance where you're like, okay, I'll get this, and then you can get me a drink or whatever, like afterwards, I think that alleviates some pressure as well. Where it's like, okay, then yeah, like we're on mutual ground here. You're not gonna
Right.
pressure me for anything else.
Exactly. So like I'll cover dinner, you get the motel room. Hey, we're even, right? No pressure.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I guess. We can watch Lord of the Rings.
Those are jokes for the
Extended
internet
edition.
trolls out there. Those are jokes. We're
Extended,
having
of course.
fun.
Yeah, I think it all depends on like the situation you're in, where you come from. Like the way I was brought up is that if I am the one asking you out, I am the one paying that night. Done.
Right.
There's no
Mhm.
question about it. It doesn't mean anything else that I have manners, basically, because that's the
Yeah.
way I was brought up.
It's the same in Texas. So as Vanille and Jack were talking, I was like, okay, well, his is very Texan, hers is very Scottish, British. Where it's more okay to split it. Where over there we always pay,
Mhm.
in Norway too. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely appreciated, but
it's
not
nice, yeah.
expected necessarily.
It does take you further when you pay.
Yeah,
What's
but of course.
It's a really nice gesture.
Like you said, though, it is if you're inviting somebody out, if you're asking them out, the assumption is you're offering to pay. If you ask somebody to do something, right? There are certain exceptions. Like if I'm having my birthday party at Corner, right? And it's like, okay, cool. I would like for you to come. You're invited. Come and join. That doesn't mean I'm buying you drinks all night, right? That's a separate situation, right? But
Especially it's your
generally,
birthday. We gotta get you drinks.
yeah, well, like Paul and I do the same thing for our birthdays, which is like I'll buy bottles of whiskey. I'm not buying everybody everything all night long, obviously, but I'm gonna make sure we all have plenty of drinks. We're gonna be good on that front. Coot brings up an interesting question, which is, how about in reverse when the girl pays for you? Now that is interest.
Sugar mommy.
And whenever a girl pays for me, especially like unbidden, unasked, I feel that pressure of like, oh, okay, she wants to buy this for me so that she can bang me after. I accept. Challenge accepted.
Say, oh man.
oh, that pressure. Oh, that feels horrible.
To me, actually, if I was the one asking a person out and then she turned out to decide to pay for me while we were there, it would actually make me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Mm.
It was like something is not right here.
Right.
It happened to me the other weekend. She paid for the Cuban sandwiches we had. I was like, wait, I was supposed to pay. What are you doing? And so I was like, okay, well, we got to get dessert. Let's go get this. Let's do that. She's like, nope. So it's kind of like, this is weird. What do I do?
Mm.
Very important question. Where the hell did you find Cuban sandwiches?
In the Seoul National University area. They have this really nice street where they have a lot of good food. Yeah, good shit.
You're gonna have to show me that later because, man, I love Cuban
They were
sandwiches.
good. They were good. They tasted like the ones I had in Puerto Rico, which is close to Cuba. Close enough.
Close enough.
I don't think I've ever had. I don't think I've ever had one. I don't
They're
think
really
I've ever
good.
tried
Like
a Cuban sandwich.
toasted, and they have like a lot of ham and meat inside.
Oh,
Yeah, it's really nice. It's
sounds good.
different. It's really, really good. It's really, really good. When are you coming back to Korea, by the way?
I mean, I'm gonna stay in Vietnam for a while, but I like to come back to visit when I can. Maybe for my birthday, around that time.
It'd be good to see you again.
Yeah, you
You're
too.
You're gonna come back.
That would be
You're gonna
nice.
come back
too.
and meet Baby Jack.
Yes, I do. That's so exciting. When is it? August?
Yeah, beginning of August.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, we're very
Baby Jack.
excited.
Especially the name.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't use names on the live stream and on YouTube and stuff. Like, she's just Lady North and Baby Jack, right? Like, me being on here and putting myself out in public is my choice. I'm not gonna drag them through it as well.
Yeah, that's
Anyhow, Sabi asks another question in here. What do you think are the most important traits for good relationship between like sex or communication or like you were saying earlier, trust, things like that? Some girls that I was with were not that sexually active, and for me, it was a turnoff. So basically, how important is sexual compatibility, and how do you think that stacks up against other important traits in a relationship?
I think, sex is an important part of a relationship. It's not everything, but it is, it's the way that you're most intimate with your partner. So I wouldn't say that it would be a turnoff if someone was not necessarily super sexually active. At least for me, I'd be like, okay, it's your own comfort zone. You don't necessarily have to be like, there's other factors that make me want to be with somebody beyond that. It's not that kind of exchange where I need you to have sex with me often or whatever. I would rather that we just spend time together in any way. If I love you, that's gonna be valuable to me regardless. So that's what I think.
Sounds like a chick answer. Like
maybe.
I mean, like,
I am a chick.
to be real about it, like for guys, a dead bedroom is a dead relationship.
I get that that is difficult. Yeah.
It is a very important and a very real part of it. It's a biological function just like any other, and it is. I want to be careful. It is a need, but it's not like a need that you can demand. Obviously, this one is one of the trickier ones where like food is a need, but that also doesn't mean that you get to demand that she cooks for you all the time. The difference, though, is that if she doesn't cook, I can go to a restaurant. If she doesn't put out, I can't go anywhere else for that. And so having a balance there is really important. Obviously, communication, very big part of making that even possible. And the longer a relationship goes, the more effort it actually takes to make sure that the bedroom doesn't die. Because you get used to each other, you both get busy, you don't have a lot of time, and then like maybe your schedules are out of whack or whatever else, and like you have to actually kind of plan romantic time. But it is important. It is important. And I don't think that not any, most men, 99% of men would not be able to actually accept a dead bedroom as like, well, it's just your comfort zone. That's totally fine. It's okay. Because it's just not how we're wired.
Yeah, I get that. Or I think even for women as well, not having that as a part of the relationship would be difficult.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think if I was with someone that was not that sexually active, I would, again, no pressure, but I would maybe try to help them be more comfortable in certain ways. And it's just like, we can take it at your own pace, and maybe that would build their confidence to, you know what I mean, engage in that more often.
No pressure, but a little bit of pressure.
Just a little bit. Yeah. Or try to encourage them,
Sure.
Yeah, I think like the sexual compatibility and like at least being able to talk about it is a very important thing. For me, another thing that's very important in a longer term relationship, and this is not something you get to figure out before like at least 3 to 6 months into a relationship, is can you be together without doing the same thing? Like actually being in the same room and being together but still not being on top of each other kind of thing is kind of very important. Like the ability to entertain yourself together kind of. Because like once you go into the part of the relationship where you move in together, where you start living together, you will kill each other if you can't stand to be alone in the same room. Like that just doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that that's even more important for, like Paul, you do a lot of work from home. Vanille, you and I both work in like creative type stuff. And if I had to entertain my wife all the time while she's home, I simply wouldn't be able to. Like, I couldn't handle that. That wouldn't be a good relationship. I have to be able to just sequester myself off and focus in and get work done, get videos edited, get posts written, get ad creative made, whatever else. And she can entertain herself, which is really important in a relationship, an ability to actually just be self-sufficient and fairly low maintenance on that front. I think
the ability to coexist.
Yeah,
Right.
really important. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
super important.
Yeah, when you I've noticed when you move in or like she's staying at your place a lot or you're going to hers a lot, it really just changes the dynamic because now you guys are around each other so much that it gives you way more opportunity to fight. And little things like at your place, it's just kind of like, oh, well, where's my stuff? Where's this? Why is that moved? Why is this like that? Where's this? Why aren't you doing that? All of this stuff just starts happening and suddenly you start fighting. So you really got to communicate and do certain things like that.
Dude, that one, where is this thing? Why did you move that? That never goes away. I still have that conversation with Lady North at least once a week where I'm like, why are the scissors where the scissors go? And she's like, oh, well, I thought that would be a better place for them. Okay. But now, like, I can't find them.
Oh, yeah. I remember I was going through this at like 22 because she was always at my dorm at my university and she was always just like, she would make my room into an entire dump. So I was like the weird clean one and the one who wasn't playing video games as much. And I was like, so I would clean it up, and then she'd be like, "Where's this? Where's that?" I was like, "I put it on your pile of useless shit over there," because it was just like her art stuff, right? So it was just like, and then she would get mad at me for that. I was like, "Well, I mean, like I have to clean the place. It looks like a dump," So yeah, it was weird just going through that at such a young age. So I don't know.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Coot asks a follow-up question to what we were talking about earlier. Would you feel undesired being with a not sexually active partner?
I can answer that. Yes.
Oh.
I have been in that relationship. I know exactly how it feels.
I would start to wonder at a certain point. I'd be like, "Is it me?"
Yeah, exactly.
That would make me.
You kind of lose your shit at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if it started out very active and then it dies down over time, then you instantly start doubting yourself.
Yeah.
And even like in that relationship, it's been a while now, but we were very open about it, and she was very open about what she needed and why she was feeling like that. But still, like even though she said it had nothing to do with me, you still feel inadequate.
Oh shit. Damn.
Yeah, I mean that would have to take a toll on you, right? Like it would be the same as anything else if she didn't want to talk to you, if she didn't want to be seen in public with you, or like anything else that was normal and okay before, but then now all of a sudden it's not. It would have to affect you mentally and psychologically.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, almost certainly you would feel undesired.
Oh yeah, of course.
Antonio, do you have some more questions?
Yeah, what?
Do you have some more questions, buddy?
No, I don't think so, reality. No. Actually, no.
Okay. Awesome. Then I think that this is a good place for us to go ahead and wrap it up for tonight. So thank you guys so much for joining. For those of you watching, if y'all are still with us, I really appreciate it. You're fucking heroes. And speaking of which, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button down below this video. I would consider it a personal favor to me. So thank you in advance for that. Very special thank you to all of my lovely guests tonight. Julius, Paul, Antonio, and of course, the lovely and wonderful Vanille. I'm so glad you got the internet sorted out and we were able to have this talk.
Finally.
It's been a blast. Yeah. And it's good to talk to you. It's good to see you. It's been too long.
I know.
You want to come back here.
I'll swing by.
Well, okay. I'll accept that for now. Thank you guys so much for joining. And I think with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for tonight. So